I'm Elizabeth Henson. Welcome to the Messy Success Podcast, where I'm helping creative dreamers and overachievers tackle business and life. After 6 years of being my own boss, I finally unraveled a tiny bit of what it takes to survive in this amazing world of being an overly creative entrepreneur. I'm your business bestie, here to help you with all those big ideas and to normalize some of the day-to-day struggles that we all share. My mission is simple. I want more women to make a living doing what they love and to feel good about themselves in the process. The best way to start? We can't do it alone. So welcome. I hope you'll hang out with me here where it's totally okay to be messy. All right. Hey, party people. How's it going? I'm so excited to get back from my trip and get to work on all the amazing things. So last week, I wasn't here on the podcast. I did show up in the Messy Squad, our Facebook group, but I was at BBD Live, which is James Wedmore's Business by Design live event, and it was absolutely incredible. So today I'm going to be sharing just like some behind the scenes, some brainstorming. I have a very special project going on that I'm going to be launching very soon. So I'm actually going to be recruiting beta members next week, like I am jumping right in. So if you're in the Facebook group, I went live from California, right? So James challenged us that if confidence was not an issue, if we could 10x our confidence, what are 5 projects that we would do right now? And one of mine was to launch another membership site. And I went to Business by Design knowing that I wanted to create an online space for people who are not necessarily in Hampton Roads. I spend so much time on here talking about the Creative Network, which is our in-person membership in Hampton Roads, but I have so many members and followers and people who have reached out to me saying, I really want this, but I'm not in Hampton Roads, right? So I feel extremely called to create something. And I went to Business by Design and I had no idea what that was going to be or what that was going to look like. But I did know that a social media is a pain point for a lot of my people and for myself, really, right? So I hear you guys, like we are sick and tired of feeling invisible on social media, of spending 30 minutes to an hour on a post that doesn't get us the traction that we want. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but there's been an increase in people taking social media breaks or like a hiatus or taking time off. And I think that's because people are really, really burning out on relying so heavily on social media for our business. And I went to Business by Design and I knew I had this idea and I knew that my people had this pain point, but I really didn't know how to bring it all together. So the challenge was for me to kind of announce that I was interested in doing this. I don't know what it looks like yet, but who's with me? Who would pay $20 a month for a membership where I can solve this problem? And that's what I did in the Facebook Live in the Messy Squad. And 13 people jumped in and said they would do it, whether it was on that thread or I think I did one more on my Instagram thread. But people actually said, yes, we want this, we're in, where do we sign up? And that obviously propelled my momentum to dive in even deeper. So I'm really, really excited. I'm going to share some of the behind the scenes about that with you guys and just some of my biggest takeaways from BBD Live. So like I said, I hear you loud and clear that we are tired of feeling invisible on social media. And if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know how incredibly passionate I am about real life relationships and that we should always be focusing on our real life relationships and that social media is kind of a byproduct of those. And the more people we meet in person, the better it's going to convert into those social media relationships. Here's an example. At BBD Live, I met tons of people. Now, anybody that I actually had an in-person conversation with or connected with in some capacity, we connected on social, right? Like, oh my gosh, let me make sure I follow you on Instagram. You've all done that, right? And now when I see them on social, I remember that I met them in person, and that connection is so much stronger than if it was just a random person that followed me and I decided to follow them back because their profile looked interesting, right? Now we have that deep in-person connection. There's always something to talk about. We're going to follow up on things that we might have talked about at BBD Live. That in-person connection transfers over into social media so much better than when you just go social media to social media. I hope that makes sense. And we can't all see these amazing results on social media. I know that some people do, and some people's accounts skyrocket and they get Insta famous and sponsors and all the things, but not all of us are really equipped to do that. I'm not saying we can't. I fully believe that we can all do anything that we put our mind to, but I just think it's very exhausting. I think social media is becoming very draining. And yes, it brings me business. It does amazing things for my business. But the amount of work that I have to put in and, putting in heart and soul into one post and then the algorithm doesn't pick it up. I mean, that freaking sucks, right? So it's just a constant battle. And I think social media is amazing. But I think what we can do is lean into our existing relationships, but also put ourselves in positions to meet new people. And that's what I'm really hoping to do with this online membership, is create a space where people are actually meeting each other, even if it's not in person, right? You can have virtual conversations via like Loom videos or Google Hangouts or Zoom, whatever. You can totally bond with people even if they're not in the same room with you. You can do it online. But imagine spending, 10 to 15 minutes in a real life conversation with somebody versus spending that 30 minutes trying to craft the perfect image and the perfect caption and seeing no results. So that 15-minute conversation with a real person could end up getting you way more powerful results than trying to speak to the masses all at once. And I think that's because there's value in personal connection. And another important example is online. Sometimes we judge a book by their cover, right? So have you ever been in a Facebook group where they have the collaboration threads and it's like, post what you want to collaborate on. So you start like poking around and looking at people's stuff and you're like, oh, okay, Susie looks interesting, but wait, she's only got like 200 followers and I don't really understand what she does. So I'm going to move on to the next one. Okay, well, imagine that you are connected with Susie and you have to have a conversation with her, in real life in some capacity, and you find out, maybe you just meet her, right? Like people I met at BBD Live, say you meet Susie, and you find out that she's just starting a brand new business where she's helping other businesses start and grow nonprofits. And you go, ding, 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 my best friend just started a nonprofit. Let me connect you with her. She would love your help. Now you've connected her to her first client. And because of that, Susie will remember you forever and ever and ever, because you'll forever be the person that connected her with her first client. And that makes you unforgettable. And that is powerful stuff, my friends. And that is stuff that we can't always do on social media from the jump. But when you meet somebody and they're top of mind and you make it a priority to connect them to someone or to something that will help them, they will then remember you, which means it will all come back, right? So I just really, really believe in this system, if you can even call it that, in relationships, real life relationships transferring over into your business and into social media. And I'm just really excited because that's what I'm going to create, is a membership space where we can do that. And you can go on these little scavenger hunts of different ways to collaborate and get, maybe like fun bonus points if you jump on a coffee chat. Like, I'm going all in and it's going to be so fun. So if you're interested in following along, just be sure that you are in the Messy Squad or on my email list and you won't miss it. Okay. I will, I'm sure, talk about it in my stories and on Instagram and on here on the podcast. But if you want to make sure you don't miss anything, just be sure you're in the Facebook group or on my email list or both. So going back to my experience at BBD, let's talk about the takeaways. So I had to practice introducing myself over and over. There was nearly 300 people at this event, and James was so good about really, really pushing us to be social and meet people. Like, don't just go hide in your hotel room. This is your opportunity to spread your wings and to meet new people. So anytime there was a break, people were constantly shaking hands and introducing themselves. And let me just tell you, that you might not realize that it's really actually hard when you're multi-passionate to introduce yourself. So the first day I was fumbling through it like, well, I'm a wedding photographer, but I'm taking my business online, and I'm also a podcaster, and I guess I really help creative women, but and I have an associate team. I mean, it was a hot mess, you guys, trying to explain to people what I do. And I got frustrated with myself. I was like, this is not okay. I cannot take 10 minutes trying to explain to somebody what I do. So I have rockstar statements and elevator pitches, but I have them all based on, the different segments of my passions and my revenue streams. But trying to just tell someone everything I do was really hard. So I decided to focus on the memberships because I knew that that's what I wanted to gain from this workshop. This was a specific workshop for people who have businesses online. So they either sell courses or online memberships, or they're moving their brick and mortar online. So I was like, okay, I don't really need to tell people about my service-based industry because it's not relevant to the workshop. So I just started talking more about the memberships, and then that elevated into, hi, I'm Elizabeth, and I help women who are tired of feeling invisible on social media grow their business without it. And I was laying in the hotel room that first night when I came up with that pain point or that statement, and I was like, I think this is it. So my biggest takeaway from that was, A of all, you got to hone in on how you introduce yourself. I specialize in memberships. I have an in-person membership. I'm looking to grow online. Fine. But also being able to speak to people's pain points so that they can clearly visualize what it is you do, right? That's important too. And that's something that we all know when we're trying to sell something. You've got to touch on whatever the pain point is or the problem that you're solving, how you're going to solve it, and what the result or the transformation is going to be like. But that has been difficult for me. It's like, I help people. I help creative women grow their businesses. Like, I'm so fluffy and I'm so nice. Like, I have always struggled to be super, super specific. So that was a big takeaway as well. Just learning how to really speak to people's pain points and make sure in the back of my head, I'm always asking myself, what problem are you solving? And also that business is 2 parts mindset and 1 part action. We did some incredible mindset work while we were there, and it was so impressive watching James coach people because he has no problem sitting in silence and waiting for you to answer a question. I get so awkward if there's moments of silence. I feel like it's my responsibility to, cushion and make sure that everybody's okay, but he will wait. But it's incredible. It gives people time to think and digest. And we just talked a lot about, understanding when we have limited beliefs that pop up and the stories that we tell ourselves. And that we get to choose which story we want to believe, right? Like, I can tell myself, oh, I want to launch this membership, but nobody's going to buy it. It's not going to be worth my time. I won't be able to sell enough members to really make it grow. Or I can tell myself the story of, I'm going to do this and I'm going to go all in because it's going to give me an opportunity to serve people and to change more women's lives. And I can expand outside of Hampton Roads. And even if it grows slowly, I will get there, right? And I get to choose which of those 2 stories I decide to believe and run with. And that is so important that we understand when we are starting to tell ourselves a story that might not be the story that we want to choose. So that was a big takeaway for me as well. And then our big action takeaway was actually just do it, right? Just do it. Just launch the big idea. Just sell the thing, because we learn so much along the way. And we shouldn't give up if we launch something one time and it doesn't do well. We have to assess and keep going. And we have to just do it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but what is worse, right? Doing it and having it not go well, or not doing it at all, which we're not going to see results if we don't do anything at all, if we sit back and wait. So it was just so motivating and so inspiring. And I had a little bit of a meltdown on the last day because I was so afraid that I would get on that plane and come back and do the same thing and get the same results. And if we continue to run our businesses the same way and to do the exact same things that we're doing, we will continue to get the same results. So I'm determined to do a little bit better this year and to step it up and to bring more of my coaching and my businesses online. So I'm really excited. All right, so that was my quick, in a nutshell, recap of BBD Live and the big project that I'm working on, and I'm so excited to share more about it. I hope that you will join me on the journey and hop over to the Messy Squad or make sure you're on my email list. You can do that by going to elizabethhensonphotos.com/podcast. And next week, I am bringing on my dear friend Allison, who was literally the first member of the Hampton Roads Creative Network. So you guys are going to love this episode. It's super candid and conversational, just like we would normally talk. And I can't wait, and I'll see you then.